Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Yo to Bolt fam, it's the Director. Bolt fam, it is that time of year again. Chargers training camp has arrived, and with it the narratives and anticipation and excitement of the upcoming season. The rookies are here, the vets are here, Jim Harbaugh is now in year 2. A lot to be paying attention to, anticipating, and getting excited for in this year's training camp. Last year offered us some awesome insight in Ladd McConkey, some of the ways they wanted to run the football, the new system Justin Herbert would be running with Jim Harbaugh, et cetera, et cetera. This year, I think it's more about finding out what strengths have been addressed or weaknesses has been addressed and strengths have been, modified in the new year 2 Jim Harbaugh team. Because historically, Jim Harbaugh in year 2 looks freaking amazing. Can the Chargers take that same year 2 leap as they did in previous teams and previous seasons? We have to wait and see. I think it's going to be exciting to see what the Chargers have done this year to improve in 2025. So before we start breaking down some of the epic camp battles that we can anticipate for this upcoming season and the next few weeks, as a matter of fact, as training camp kicks up, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Newcomers, take advantage of the offer on screen. It's a great way to support my platform while having some fun along the way. Before you kick off, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. It's a moment of time you guys take the like, sub, and bell notification. Helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history.
Chargers training camp battles to look forward to in this season. Man, I'm gutted I'm not able to attend this season. Last year was so much fun. I had a front row seat to that Ladd McConkey epic catch. It was on Pat McAfee the next day. Me going, wow! And those are the kind of things that we can expect to see this season, man. We got some awesome playmakers. You guys waiting for a season that has a whole lot of fun attached to it in terms of the offensive side of the football. This is going to be the season to see some upgrades there, man. The Chargers really went in a lot in the draft in terms of offensive players added to the roster. Trey Harris, Amarian Hampton. These are all going to be guys that you see not just fighting for roster spots. That's not just what camp battles are about. It's also fighting for, snaps and who's going to be the primary guy, the backup guy. How are you going to utilize? It's basically getting to know the entire roster, and these guys have an opportunity to either elevate how much they're going to be on the field, as a matter of fact, making the 53-man roster too for some of these guys as well. So it should be pretty exciting. First off, let's open it up with the elephant in the room. I think everybody's very excited about this particular camp battle, this particular position group, the wide receiver group, in which I'm going to highlight a couple of different battles. We're going to say probably the biggest one of the offseason in my eyes in terms of wide receiver is going to be Quentin Johnson versus Trey Harris. Now, obviously, these guys are going to be doing things a little bit different, right? They don't run the same kind of game in terms of what they offer from the wide receiver position. Trey Harris, he's going to be your X. He's going to be your outside guy. He's going to be that threat on the sideline that Justin Herbert's going to hit in the same manner that he hits Mike Williams, who's also going to be in the mix for snaps here, man. But Quentin Johnson, in my eyes, is that bubble receiver where you're thinking, how much playing time is he going to get? Who is he going to, give up snaps to? Who's going to, when he's off the field, who's stepping on the field? And it really does feel like Trey Harris can be utilized a lot of different ways. You can push, Ladd McConkey into the slot where he's very effective as well. Quentin Johnson, in my mind, is fighting for time on the field this year, and I think it's a good opportunity for him to elevate his play on the field, given all the surrounding talent that he has all of a sudden, man. Like, in comparison to last season, where we were really struggling and, scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to find guys to complement Ladd McConkey. This year, now we do have guys everywhere that really do offer a variety of different things that should open up more opportunity for Quentin Johnson to get on the field. Can he maximize, though, is going to be the biggest question. trying to be answered by Quentin Johnson. And he can stand out in camp, man. I think usually he does. I feel like last season he had a pretty good camp. His rookie season, despite what you want to say about his performance that year, he had a pretty good camp. Can he find a way to earn the trust of not just Justin Herbert, but the coaching staff to find his way onto the field? We'll have to wait and see. On the other side of things, Trey Harris, man, we're already starting to hear some great things about Trey Harris via OTAs, mandatory minicamp. And he was just listed as one of those top, weapons of the 2025 NFL draft, guys that could contend, in the same. I forget what the headline of that article is. Something in the terms of guys outside of Travis Hunter that could really pop this season, and Trey Harris was among those names. And it's because, man, he really fits what Justin Herbert loves to do. I think that a lot of people underestimate the kind of impact Trey Harris can have in this particular situation. I think a really good example of what we can offer is what we've seen in the past with Mike Williams. Now, again, there's a difference in play versus, Trey Harris and Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a much better contested catch receiver, but you can utilize him in very similar ways in terms of how you would use an X receiver. And Trey Harris carries a lot of traits that are very attractive there. And I think that Justin Herbert has already shown he likes that kind of weapon. He trusts, most importantly, that kind of weapon. I think Trey Harris going to see a nice season with the Chargers. So that's going to be a camp battle to watch. Who's popping more at the wide receiver position? Quentin Johnson, Trey Harris. And there's a lot of them at wide receiver this year. We got to move on, man. I don't want this video to be a million years long. But there's a lot of camp battles to go over, so we're going to push it. Najee Harris versus Omarion Hampton. Now, this is going to be one where, again, you're not wondering who's going to make the roster. Of course, both these guys are going to make the roster. You're wondering who's going to get more snaps. Now, funny enough, throughout the course of last season, we kind of got a preview to maybe what we can expect. In the course of, the top of the offseason, training camp, as a matter of fact, we were all under the impression last year that it was Gus Edwards, RB1. Well, over the course of the first 2, maybe 3 weeks, it really was the J.K. Dobbins show. Are we going to see something similar again this year? Is Najee Harris in danger of taking a back seat in terms of snaps to Omarion Hampton, the electrifying rookie? We'll have to wait and see. Everything that we're hearing so far from Najee Harris has been pretty incredible. His work ethic is off the charts, obviously. He's one of the pros of the NFL. But his strength, his catching, his speed, his agility, all are things that Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh have highly praised in Najee Harris so far in the offseason. Can he take that into training camp and say, I am RB1 this year. I was the number 1 free agent running back available. Now I'm on a run-first offense. Well, watch out, NFL. Here comes another 1,000-yard season from Najee Harris. Or are we going to see Omarion Hampton do the same thing we saw J.K. Dobbins do last year? Yes, the Chargers, they want to be that ground pound team. They found that guy in Gus Edwards last year, but ultimately J.K. Dobbins was the one that was making all the plays. Feels very similar here, but I'm not going to, again, shush Najee Harris or shush Omarion Hampton. I think this offense can really accommodate both. I think Najee Harris is going to prove his value as an early downs guy. I think Omarion Hampton is going to prove his value as a big play guy, but I think they also both do what the other guy does pretty well. Najee Harris is sneakily a pretty decent receiver. We know that out of Omarion Hampton. He's a very good standout receiving back from what we saw in college. And throughout their draft profiles and all that earlier in the year. And then also Omarion Hampton, very good power back option as well. He's got the size, man. He's 6'1". He's got that big frame, that big weight to him. Both these guys can be utilized in very similar ways when called upon. So it's going to be fun. I really honestly think that you're going to see some big plays out of Omarion Hampton that gets everybody going like, wow. But I think the power of Najee Harris is also something that's going to turn some heads this year. Who's going to triumph in terms of snaps? We'll have to wait and see. But that's definitely, in my opinion, the camp battle that I'm most anticipating. This running backs, dude, mark my words, Bolt fam. This Chargers move this year to bolster the running back position will define the offense in 2025. We will be one of the more dangerous running teams in the NFL. Moving on. Well, what about some of the backups? This is a great photo. I'm glad that we found one. With Hassan Haskins versus Rocket Sanders. Now, I do think Kamani Vidal is kind of a lock, obviously, to make the roster. This is what we're talking about more in this one. Who's going to make the roster. You got Hassan Haskins, one of the more valuable special teams players on the roster, versus Rocket Sanders, maybe one of the most valuable undrafted free agents of the entire class this season. I could not believe it when I read that Rocket was coming to the Bolts, considering he is exactly what a lot of teams are looking for: size, speed, power. It feels like a perfect fit for the Chargers in terms of backups, and that's why I like the variety I'm seeing in terms of backups behind, Najee and Omarion. Is that you got Rocket Sanders, who kind of fits that same mold as both of them, and then you got like the passing downs guy, Kamani Vidal, who looked really impressive. I think his first touch in the NFL was a touchdown on a wheel route by Justin Herbert. So I don't know, man. This is going to be a very interesting one. Again, Hassan Haskins, he's played that hybrid, special team / fullback / running back role in the past, and he offers a lot of special teams, so that's going to be something really difficult to push him off the roster. However, Rocket Sanders really is that rare archetype. He possesses those rare traits that you're looking for, that would offer some premium backup running back flexibility if you're looking for that. So it's going to be a tough one, man. I honestly couldn't tell you. Hassan Haskins, great player, great special teams guy. Rocket Sanders, the potential is insane. Who makes the roster? I don't know. You could lump Kamani Vidal in there if you wanted to, but I think Kamani has also been talked about very highly by the coaches so far this season. That backup running back role, which is going to be very important to the Chargers, is going to be one to very much so pay attention to in training camp this season. Let's move on. We got Darius Davis versus Keandre Lambert-Smith. Now, Keandre Lambert-Smith, KLS, maybe not known for his special teams prowess, so I don't know how much he's going to threaten Darius Davis, who is one of the league's better return men in the NFL. But more so, who's going to get any sort of work on the field on game day? We saw a handful of snaps, or say a handful of targets to Darius Davis in the last season, especially as things were getting a little, sketchy in terms of healthy receivers and options for Justin Herbert. And he did look pretty good. At times, everybody was like, oh my God, we got ourselves, a nice deep threat option in Darius Davis, but we didn't see much of him after that tiny little stretch. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think, could sneak in and take that role a little bit from Darius Davis as being that slasher. Maybe we get lucky and we find, something very similar to Guyton and Johnson in years past. It's now Davis and KLS, but both of these guys possess the ability to stretch the field, attack the deep part of the field at a very high success rate. KLS with the Auburn Tigers in his time too. I don't know, man. It's an interesting one. KLS is one of the fastest players on the team, as is Darius Davis. And I think it's going to be interesting to see who Justin Herbert trusts more attacking the deep part of the field. Who's getting open more in the deep part of the field. And you're going to see a lot of that in camp. I think that's one part that you often see, all teams try and emphasize. How do we get open deep and utilize quarterbacks that have that big arm? Those Bo Nixes, those Justin Herberts, those Patrick Mahomeses. Who's going to be that guy to offer that availability to your quarterback? So KLS, they're definitely a very exciting one, but we already know we got in Darius Davis, and he's definitely not too shabby. And again, the wide receiver position, it's getting a little crowded in there. You got Ladd McConkey, Mike Williams, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston, Darius Davis. Those are like a 5 lock. Who's going to be the 6th guy? It feels like it's KLS. Could be one of these next 2 guys as well. You got Jalen Reagor versus Luke Grimm is what I'm going to say. Now, Reagor to me is another one of those deep threat guys, right? We saw him make an appearance a couple of times last season, but it feels like he's one of those camp guys that can get elevated. Luke Grimm is kind of one of those new hotness guys that I'm starting to feel the same way about. He feels very similar in terms of his play to Ladd McConkey. You can, swap him in there if you need a slot threat or a slot receiver. Jalen Reagor, again, these guys play a bit of a different role, but now that KLS is out there, that has that deep threat availability, and Darius Davis also offers kind of the same thing, who's going to be that guy who can, be, first to be elevated? I don't know. It also kind of depends on if there is a need for either or both of these guys it's going to be interesting. I just think finding premium depth and finding guys that really fit what you're looking for to fill your practice squad, whether it is Rager, whether it is Grimm, or maybe one of these guys does step up and find a way onto the 53, it's an interesting matchup to look at. So Rager versus Luke Grimm, one that I'm looking for. I don't remember what Luke Grimm's number is, but he definitely is one of those guys to pay attention to in camp as well. Again, one of those standout undrafted free agents. Like we talked about with Rocket Sanders, he can offer a lot from the slot. Very similar again to Lad McConkey, one of the guys that I will personally be watching quite a bit as well. Let's move on to the next guy. This is so exciting, dude. This is going to be maybe the guy of the offseason to watch, the entire offseason, but particular training camp. It's going to be Oronde Gadsden versus, funny enough, Tyler Conklin. Now, I'm going to say this. Conklin to me feels like a lock. He's tight end one. He's going to bring some of the most secure consistency to the position that we've seen in a long time. I think people are going to be very, very shocked at what Conklin offers the offense this season, how much Justin Herbert is going to look his way. But Oronde Gadsden, man, he really is that kind of secret weapon, that X factor, that, diamond in the rough that everybody talks about that could really, jump onto the scene and surprise a lot of folks, dude. He's got that availability that Justin Herbert loves from the tight end position. It feels a little similar to the Jared Cook days, which again, everybody kind of wrote off the Jared Cook signing, and then lo and behold, he ended up being one of Justin Herbert's favorite targets, and it was not a bad tight end option for that season, even though he was in his twilight years. Now you got a young, exciting, versatile version of that in Oronde Gadsden, who honestly, man, from what we've seen so far, looks like he could have a much bigger impact in his rookie season than everybody was giving him credit for, including me. I was only expecting, if at all, this, like 100, 200 yards, maybe a touchdown. Now I'm thinking maybe we might be in the realm of 400 or 500 yards, a handful of touchdowns, to really prove his potential to be tight end one in 2026, if you guys catch my drift. So really, really pay attention to number 86 this season. He could be the guy that stands out and earns a lot more snaps this season than anyone's given him credit for. All right, Tyler Conklin as well, tight end position. I'm going to say got a huge upgrade in 25 versus what we had last year. No offense to Will Dissly, who's going to be a fantastic tight end too, and in blocking tight end situations. All right, next up, we got another tight end battle, which I had to include on here because of how much talk it's getting. It's Tucker Fisk versus Steve O'Klotz. Now, Fisk, again, a lot like, I'm going to say, Hassan Haskins, has that nice, role with the team from last season, special teams. Fisk is an excellent blocking tight end, I'm going to say. Steve O'Klotz, though, man, he really has been pushing himself onto the field a lot more and impressing throughout OTAs and the offseason program so far. And that's where I'm getting excited to see him in training camp. Can he challenge Tucker Fisk or open up a roster spot for himself as like a tight end 4 on this roster? It's possible. Or tight end, it would be 4 or 3. It would be 5, right? So, man, that this really is a battle, right? Because Klotz, he looks like he could be the next hybrid tight end fullback in the same, utilization as a utility back such as Al Juszczyk or Patrick Ricard. We've seen that in a lot of different offenses for Jim Harbaugh. Could he have found something in Steve O'Klotz that reminds him of that and wants to put him on the field like that, where he's not just, the Scott Matlock option of fullback, where it's that big power guy, that big body in front of him, but also the guy that can catch, the guy that can get open, the guy you can, maybe rely on the passing game a little bit. It feels like you might see something out of Steve O'Klotz this season to that light. So I'm going to say watch out for Steve O'Klotz. If he ends up being a nice option at fullback / tight end, you might see something in a chance of another undrafted guy to make the roster. But right now, he's one of the guys that's getting talked about a lot, and maybe there's a chance he makes a 53. That would be pretty insane if you ask me. Tight end is such a huge position for Jim Harbaugh. Steve O'Klotz kind of fits the bill for a lot of things that he likes to do. We'll have to wait and see how that all translates. Next up, this is probably one of the most anticipated offensive line battles I've seen in a while because it's so crazy that I hope it works. It's going to be Zion Johnson versus Bradley Bozeman versus Andre James. A 3-way battle at center, which I'm hoping works, right? We were all very, slamming the table and hoping the Chargers would take a center in the 2024 draft. That ended up not happening. We got Bradley Bozeman, who, saw some potential, but ultimately kind of fell flat in this last year as one of the not-so-great centers in the NFL. It seems that the Chargers are trying to find a way to address this with competition. Zion Johnson, who has been struggling at guard, looks to be a good option, a solid option at center considering his high IQ. Considering his obviously his strength and his size, he looks like somebody that could play the center role beautifully, and it might be a great transition for him to finally unearth that potential that we saw in the first round so many years ago now. We're hoping that works. If not, Bradley Bozeman, there's familiarity there, I suppose. But he, to me, I'm to the point where I'm like, I hope that he's just a good backup. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a bad backup. That's a good backup. But from what we saw last year, we definitely need to see some improvement there. The dark horse here, which I'm hoping steps up, and this is what I'm going to be watching the training camp for a lot, is Andre James, who was in a situation where he thrived. Josh Jacobs, power run, man gap. He was awesome with the Raiders in that era. Once they changed and the offensive system and scheme changed, he took a nosedive. It was bad, very, very bad. But now coming back to that same, system, back to that same style of offense, you may see an opportunity for him to find his former glory in being that power run center option. That's what I'm really hoping for. But that three-way battle at center, definitely one to watch out for. All right, next up, we got Deshaun Hand versus Justin Aboigbe. This one's going to be interesting. Hand, I think, has some potential. He's definitely not a bad option when in terms of, like, you rotate him in, he looks great. You give him too many snaps, maybe he falters. But he has some pretty high grades in seasons past. It's going to be Justin Aboigbe, though, that really has my attention this year. He's got an opportunity to really step up and show us what the Chargers were so excited for when they drafted him in 2024. He does possess some crazy inhuman strength. Like, he is a very, very strong defensive lineman. He's got some nice moves to him as a pass rusher as well. He wasn't able to bring it all together in his rookie season. Year two, I think there's some nice opportunity here, right? We don't have Morgan Fox. We don't have Poona Ford. There's some openings. Who's going to step up? I think Aboigbe in Hand, that's going to be a good one to look at. Of course, you're going to see Scott Matlock involved a lot. He'll probably be more involved with the next, battle here. But I like Hand. I like Aboigbe. I also like Naquan Jones. Is another guy to watch out for. So I think it's really like numbers 90 through 95 or something like that. Keep an eye of those guys in the 90s in training camp this season, because defensive line is the position that the Chargers have to improve. I'm going to say keep stable, because Poona Ford being gone is actually kind of a big deal. But I have a feeling we have another Poona Ford story waiting to blossom here. I think maybe Tierra Tart is going to be the next Poona Ford on this team. This camp battle, again, I don't know how much of a battle it is, so much as we got to see the stability built here. Is Tart versus Caldwell versus Scott Matlock. These guys in the middle, the big boys that kind of help us versus the run, try and get some pressure in the middle. These are guys that definitely need to step up. And I think, honestly, the potential of all these players is very exciting. Of course, Scott Matlock, we've seen him be a pretty impactful piece. There's talk about him taking that next step this season. But then you got guys like, again, Tierra Tart. Can he be the next Poona Ford? Can he be the next guy that is solid versus the run and also present versus, the pass rush? We'll have to wait and see. And then Jamari Caldwell, I do fully expect to be involved versus the run. How much can he get on the field, and how consistent can he be as well? These are all the questions that are going to need to be answered during training camp for the defensive line. All right. Next up, we're going to kind of lightning through the rest of these, because I think we kind of, you guys, we're in the groove now. We're in the groove. Denzel Perryman versus Junior Colson. Now, Perryman, to me, man, so fun seeing him back with the team. He's definitely been that impact guy in terms of, impact. he lays the boomstick quite often, and that's certainly the kind of defensive player that Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh want in their football team. And he's certainly one of the greatest, veteran options that we have on this roster. But Junior Colson, again, the young, the new hotness, the excitement from the Jesse Minter defenses of days past. I think Junior's going to take that next big step this season, man. I really, really do. And who's going to get more playing time this season? I think it's going to be Junior Colson. You're going to see Denzel Denzel Perryman maybe take a little step back in terms of his snap, and Junior Colson take a huge step forward in terms of his time on the field, because, man, a healthy, impactful Junior Colson could be the future. I promise you, Colson's going to see some more work this year. He's got the talent, the size, the speed, the familiarity, and Denzel Perryman, although being the great option to rotate in versus the run, I think Colson may end up out-snapping him by the end of the year. This could all be determined very much so in how they perform in training camp. Perryman, I think has the edge right now, but Junior Colson, that sleeping giant, could be that dude of the future. All right. What about pass rushers? Yes, again, the consistency versus the new hotness. You got Bud Dupree versus Kyle Kennard. And I think all of this kind of stems from, what the rotation's going to look like. Because does Kyle Kennard earn the trust of the Chargers early to get on the field and rotate in like Bud Dupree was last year? Because Bud Dupree was that fourth guy last year. It was Bosa, Mack, and then Tooley and Bud. Now it's going to be Tooley and Mack and Kennard and Bud. Who are these going to be guys getting rotated on? Who's going to get the more snaps? And more often, I would say more elevated to the top two that I'm excited for, that really defines, or I should say helps the definition of camp battle. I want to see all of these guys go up versus our tackles. Who's gonna find that footing versus Alt or Slater? We got some of the best competition at tackle to throw these guys up against. That's some of the funnest stuff that you're going to see at camp. Remember when Khalil Mack came onto the scene and it was Rashawn Slater versus Mack, and then last season we had Alt and Joey Bosa. Oh, awesome. Really awesome. Cool stuff to watch in the offseason. I'm excited to see what Kyle Kennard could bring to the table. Next up, wasn't able to find the greatest picture. It's not Derwin James that we're looking at. It's the guy to the right of him. It's going to be number 24, Benjamin St-Juste versus Dean Leonard. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be the battle, but it's one of those to pay attention to, because Benjamin St-Juste in a limited capacity might be a bit better than Dean Leonard, but Dean Leonard is a very solid special teams option. Again, like we said, with Hassan Haskins, Tucker Fisk, they've already got an established role with the team that's been consistent and reliable. Is that enough to push him off the roster? Is that enough to get Benjamin St-Juste more playing time? The whole defensive back position, it's going to be very interesting to watch this year. I just like to put these guys together because they look very similar in terms of their physical attributes, right? They're both very tall. They're very, good, and I would say, built to play in man press. They could also both be very good in special teams, blitzing the quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. It feels like they both kind of fit that archetype. Who's going to make the roster? Right now, it feels like Dean Leonard certainly has the edge because he's such a staple to the special teams. Maybe they both make the roster. Again, all of these kind of a mix and match options for the Chargers. Corner is going to be a very interesting position to watch and study. Speaking of corner, there's a couple of names that I do want to put out there that people pay attention to. Triquez Bridges, 7th round pick of the Chargers this year. Again, huge dude, like 6'2", 6'3", huge frame, big, strength on him as well. He's a guy that could certainly, wiggle his way onto the roster. Then Nico Reed, former Oregon corner as well, really good in coverage. He's got some nice agility to him. Both of these guys, again, is either one making the roster? What's the corner position looking like this season? Of course, you also got Dante Jackson to look at there. There's a whole mess of corners that somebody's going to stand out. We had 2 or 3 of them stand out last season. The rookies, and I will say Christian Fulton at times as well. Who's going to stand out this year? Right? There's a lot of opportunity over there, and I think all these guys are guys to pay attention to. Finally, at safety, really, really love the late round pick in RJ Mickens. I felt he was one of the best values of the draft, especially for the Chargers. He's, again, the new hotness versus the old and stable Tony Jefferson coming out of retirement for the Bolts. He was an awesome piece of the defense last season, awesome depth option for the Chargers. But RJ Mickens, to me, man, he's that playmaker, dude. He's that guy. And I think that, honestly, you're going to see some plays from 27 this season. You've already seen him pop a little bit in OTAs and minicamp, and I'm excited to see what his potential is, man. So definitely watch out that for all the DBs. And the last one I'm going to kind of mention here, because I do think it is a little bit relevant, considering the Chargers have, for the past several seasons, had that QB3 option. Trey Lance versus DJ Uiagalelei. This is one of those stories that really looked like he had a lot of potential coming into college football. Played for Clemson, played for Oregon State, played for FSU, and then it all really fell apart. He goes undrafted. Chargers are finding some light in him, though. We've heard and seen some cool stuff from him. Will he contend for Chargers backup quarterback responsibilities? I think he will. Trey Lance also shares a very similar narrative. He was a first-round pick, had a lot on his shoulders, a lot of expectations. It all fell apart. Can the Chargers, unearth and revive his career? I think by throwing 2 darts at that same position, maybe somebody's going to pop, considering the Chargers' track record so far and really helping players, again, bounce back. So it's going to be very interesting. Well, guys, let me know in the comment section below some of your most anticipated camp battles, some of the players that you're hoping to see more playing time or a shot at the 53, and some of the positions that get you most excited to see what we have in terms of upgrades this year. I'm going to say, me personally, it's a running back. I think it's going to help define this football team going forward. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Watch out for Amari Hampton, man. Number 8's going to make some big plays this season. I can feel it.